Hello everybody and welcome back to the Jake's RC Stuff channel. Today we have the FlexJet TV back in the workshop to actually sort of finish it off so we can fly it. What do we need to do? Well, we need to figure out what's happened here because that's locked like that. So we need to work out what's happened. It probably just needs easing off, but in fact, I can't get to do it because there's a piece of plastic in the way. Slightly bad design. In case that happens again, I have to take the whole thrust tube off, or vector thrust doodah off. So yes, we have to take that off to fix this. This is also not set up anyway. We need to make sure that it's straight and level, full straight and level flight. Another thing that we didn't do as well is we need to actually solder the correct connector on here for me and on all of these batteries. So this uses two of these 5000 milliamp 60C4S, two of those per flight. They are also the batteries I'm going to be using in Concorde, just one of them in the Concorde for 4-cell. Another thing we need to do is, this has a FreeSky receiver in it, but it's actually a fast one for use with my Futaba 14SG. But, and the first time it's been revealed on the channel, I recently picked up one of these Tyrannus X9D Plus 2019 carbon effect and stuff, and I'm going to be using this receiver, which is D16, but fully enough you can do that. Everyone seems to think you can only use Access. I have an Access receiver in a Watt 4 to test it with, but I'm using this D16 RX8R Pro for the receiver in it. And yeah, what's going to be kind of interesting is, first of all, I need to get the tail off and sort out taking the stress off of that tailplane, because I feel like I'm going to plug it in and burn out a servo, and because it's inside the thrust tube, it's going to be a nightmare to get to try and replace, and replacing it's probably also going to be another nightmare. But the next thing that we have to do according to the instructions is actually, if you're not using I'm going to pop you there for a moment, if you are not using a Spectrum, Futaba or High-Tech, I think it is, they actually have a special set of instructions for FreeSky users. Basically what they recommend is they have a FreeSky model you can download, put on your SD card and then restore onto your radio, and then you can set up your model from there. So that's what I'm probably going to do. I just need to do that at some point, but first of all I need to go back to the instruction book, which would be in the Books app, and get to the point where the book app keeps crashing and is doing my absolute nutting, but try and get to the page where I can actually talk, or it shows me about taking the tail off, and I can't go past that page for some reason. Let me restart the iPad and we'll try again in a moment. But anyway, that's what we're doing. I know recently I've been doing a lot more of the I will film while I do stuff type, but when the model is this big and I have to sort of work off the table, but I can't with this for hopefully obvious reasons. So, and I don't have anywhere to like mount it on the roof or anything like that, so it's going to be a bit more of the old style I do things and show you. I will try and show you me doing some of the stuff as I do it, but it's going to be a bit harder with this model, so please try and bear with me on that one. But yes, see you in a second. Right, so I've removed the thruster vectoring tube, and it turns out the issue was this servo was over like that, basically. So I've moved it back. The problem is you can't do this normally because, let me just grab it. You've got this tube that goes in the end to help the air come out properly, instead of being all wrapped up in servo gubbins and things like that, which is fine. But if that ever happens to it normally, I have to take the thrust vectoring off and then try and line it up again. It's all a massive nightmare. And that tube was taped here, so I've had to really like undo everything to get in and get that sorted. So that's a bit of a pain. But now that that's level, I wonder if I could like 3D print a clip that goes on here and keeps it level. Things to look into. But yes, so I can now reassemble this and look at putting the correct receiver in and putting that model on the radio and see where we go from there. So I will reassemble that now. So yeah, it does have its own two servos for the thrust vectoring, so you can turn it on and off through the Aurora flight controller. But yeah, let's get this reassembled. That just needs to go back on there, and then that flips over and goes up there. Back shortly. Okay, so I have realigned the elevators and the new receiver is in. For now, I've just got the gear, the S plus cable on the back, and this little 6-volt Nike plugged in. This lead is for the speed controller, and I can plug that in when I have actual batteries to plug in. So I've realigned these, reprinted these off, taped them on, lined them up, fixed the issue with this servo. It was all the way over, I think I showed you in the video. I've lined this up. That might be a little bit too much up thrust, but it says it's about 1.5 mil, but I don't know where it's measuring it from. So, like, again, it's possibly, again, it's on a finger that's tapering away, which doesn't help. We'll see how it goes. I'd rather it go up slightly when I put power on than the way around, and we can modify that as needed. I have actually updated the software in the Aurora to the latest version, and it lets you set a, because for some reason the model wouldn't import that they have on their website. Sorry about that. So yeah, but where was I up to? Oh, the model wouldn't import, so I had to make my own. But when you plug it into the laptop and do the Aurora firmware, if you update it to the latest version, you can actually tell it that you're using a FrSky non-their model based setup. So I chose that, and everything seems to work fine. I have the gear on, that's the cable I was using, gear on this switch, and I have the flight mode on this switch. It's currently the wrong way around. I'll reverse it, because I always like having safest mode away from you, but that's actually the 3D mode with the vectoring. So we shall, yes, we shall reverse that, and I'm also going to have voice to tell me what mode I'm in, as well as I'm going to set up the motor kill switch like what I have on pretty much everything. Yeah, we have decent telemetry by the looks of it. I've set the 2:10 timer. So yeah, we now basically, I need to put the wings on, double check the ailerons are fine, and then what I've got to do is sort out the batteries and the C of G. So I'm probably actually going to do the batteries first, and the soldering in the model. I'll be honest with you, that looks like, I don't want to melt this, and I have one of these connectors. I think if we do, I might make an adapter lead and then tie wrap it onto this for safety reasons, so I don't melt any foam by accident. And then we just need to get this put in the model. Well, yeah, we'll see how we get on with that. Right, it is another day. If I sound a little bit different, it's because I managed to injure my ears, and it may be making me talk a little bit funny. Thanks for that. So I have taped in the aerials. The receiver is up here. I've also moved the gear thing there, just because the batteries line up roughly with the back of this hole. The C of G is, it's going to be hard for me to show you, but where the screws are for the wing underneath a bit, yeah, there, it's in line with that, so it's got to be between the front and the back of this. Mine's balanced directly in the middle. That's just led to keep the nose wheel on the floor at the minute, because without the batteries in, a lot of jets end up with the tail sagging down. I didn't want to knock these elevons too much. So I have created, actually my dad, I'll be honest with you, did these for me because I was at work before things happened. So this little adapter, so it's an EC5. We could have sold them on, but like the cables, it's hard to get it out of the plane. So I decided to do an adapter and then just tie wrap them together so they won't come off. These are the batteries. Turnigy 60C5000s. The only two things I've got to do is put some Velcro on these. I'm going to put it on this edge, but on the bottom. And of course Velcro in here. I've added this second strap because the battery strap for this kind of went around here. I decided to add a second one. So yes, the Velcro needs to go in, and I also need to glue on the little red side pods. I don't know where the one for that side is, but it looks a bit like that when it's finished. So we need to get that on, and then it is all finished.